Welcome to Apogee Live. My name is Greg Hoffman. We are having another conversation with one of our merchants. Today, we're going to be talking with Lori Taylor from TruDog. Let me introduce my team first. Say hello to Daniel Clark.
Hello.
And Kristen Evans and Dexter, our mascot.
Can you say hi?
Hi.
Thank
All right. We've got a couple of affiliates on the call today. Others may come in and or they can leave. But basically, we're here to listen to Lori Taylor and understand more about her and the background of TruDog. So hello, Lori. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here. Excited to be invited.
All right. So tell us all about your story.
Well, so TruDog for me has been quite a journey. I call myself a philanthropreneur because that's kind of how it started, from a philanthropy perspective of educating and pet parents for truth. What happened for me was my Great Dane. I was been a dog loving mom, horses, you name it, animals, I had them. And I had this big Great Dane named Truman. He was the love of my life. It was the first big dog I ever had. I couldn't wait to have a big dog because my parents growing up wouldn't let me have one. So I was going to get a Great Dane. And on my anniversary, I got one for a birthday anniversary present. And his name was Truman. And he was about 5 years old when I was pregnant with the twins, at the beginning of the twins. And back in 2008, and he walked through the house. He was limping, and I have an eye for it because of although I do show jumping with horses, so I'm really, I pay attention to gaits and how things are, because that's how you know if they need to be treated or if they're working or if things working out for them. And when I saw my Great Dane limping, I really didn't think anything about it. Honestly, I didn't think cancer, none of it. I just thought something was wrong with him. So I took him to the doctor right away, just make sure he didn't tear something or hurt something. And the doctor was like, wow, I can't believe you noticed this. It's so subtle. I was like, yeah, but something's wrong. So he's like, well, let's x-ray it. Well, I guess he knew. Like, he wasn't saying that to me, but he was like, well, this is why, but I didn't know. And he came back and he was just, his face. And I wasn't even expecting bad news. Like, how could someone be sad about whatever, that we could repair a broken arm, a broken leg, or tendon tear or something? And he was like, yeah, carcinoma. And at the time I was like, what? Like, it didn't even register like what the word meant, although, I know what the word means. And he told me he had cancer and he had bone, and it was a bone cancer, which starts a lot in dogs. In fact, your dog is 8 times more likely to get bone cancer than you are as a human being, which is a whole nother conversation, but it's the genesis of the company when I discovered that. So we removed his front leg. I believe in animal communicators, so I talked to my animal communicator that talks to my horses. I sound crazy now. I'm okay with that. And she told me that, like, as long as he wasn't in pain for, like, he was up for it, but he just wanted to make sure he was not going to have any pain. And we're like, well, you're going to have some pain. We're going to remove your leg. So he understood it would be limited, but as long as we could keep him comfortable, he wanted to stay with us. So that's what we chose to do. So we didn't even know if it was going to work, because Great Danes put 80% of their weight on their front legs. And so we removed his leg. We called him Tripod. He could run. It was great. I mean, he ran like a tricycle, like, one leg in the front, the back legs. He had it figured out. His brakes were a little less remarkable. He'd come running at you and you'd be like, oh God. And there's a point in his eyes where he's like, I don't know if I can stop either. To make a long story short, as I was doing this, what was important to me is that I had gone to the extremes of removing his leg, because at the time there really weren't options. I mean, even now there's more options, but we're learning more and more about cancer as the years progress, social media. But at that time, 2008, it was like chemo, but my mom had died of leukemia when I was 19. So I was like, I'm not going to put a dog through that. It was horrible. So he said, but you could avoid all that if it's not in his bloodstream, which it's not yet, if we remove his leg. So we did. So in that, what I became a maniac on a mission was to make sure the cancer didn't come back. So that was what was important to me, is that the cancer didn't come back after all of this, right? I felt like I would really let him down then. So when I started researching it, all the things I just told you, from Texas A&M, the 4 times more likely to die of breast cancer, 8 times more likely to die of bone cancer, 35 times more likely to die of skin cancer. And I was like, well, how is this possible when they share 82% of the same DNA that you and I share? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So that's when I realized what I had already known about humans and cancer, nutrition, how it can affect it. I realized, oh my gosh, it's the kibble. And it's such an obvious thing now. Someone listening now will be like, well, no, you could believe me. No shit, Sherlock. But like, seriously, like, of course, that's what it is. Now, then people weren't talking about it and telling you they weren't. And so I had to dig and dig and dig. And I thought, this isn't okay with me. And I'd had all this background as a marketer. You know, my big claim to fame was disabled American veterans, which I've been working with for 25 years as a marketer. I've helped them raise almost $5 billion now, $5 at a time. And I'm all about using my talents in order to lift the tide, you know, all the boats, so people become aware of things like we've done with the veterans with TBI, PTSD. So I was like, people need to know this. Like, people need to know that, you know, I was going to the grocery store and I was buying the best food I could afford, looking at the top shelf, looking at all the packages, finding one that appealed to me, and I would change it up. So my dog had different things to try. I was spending a lot of money on my dog's food, but it was kibble. And this isn't about kibble shaming. I am not going to be about kibble shaming because I get budgets are out there. So it's not about kibble shaming. And, you know, if I borderlined on anything, it would be ignorance shaming, like your head's buried in the sand and you're not asking better questions for dogs. But what I'm really about is empowering the pet parent to know the truth so they can empower the dog to get the best nutrition the dog can get. So for me, that's when I started coming out and advocating, and we found our freeze-dried dog food, a person to manufacture it for us, because I tried to make raw dog food for my Great Dane because he's a Great Dane, and it's super, 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 if I could say super a million more times, expensive to feed real food like that to your Great Dane because they weigh 170 pounds. And then we wonder why they die when they're 8. Well, let's see, they're the size of a high school student and you're feeding them what you feed the fish, you know, or like you're not feeding them protein, you're not feeding them properly. So yeah, they'll get sick. So like my Great Dane now is 10 years old as an example. So, so what I did is I took that and we started to create this concept of how could I make it more convenient for people to do this? And I thought freeze-dried raw dog food, like it's a no-brainer. It's done for you. You rip it open. It's just like a bag of chips, right? So once you open it, it goes a little stale, but it won't kill you. You eat the chips, they just don't taste as great. So I love that aspect of it. And I also love the aspect of for people who couldn't afford that, because I was realistic with that, because I grew up in a home without a lot of resources. My parents absolutely could not have afforded to upgrade from kibble. They couldn't have. So I really was really committed to, I wanted to be the Progressive Insurance of this. I wanted to say, look, here's the information. You don't have to buy it from me, but you get to know this so you can make a better decision by your dog. So in that, that's when we created TruDog, Nutrition Plus system. And what that really was, hey, the very best thing you can do by your dog is to feed him, feed me. I'm telling you right now, we have all the testimonials, 30 days into it. I mean, the results are incredible, incredible. But it is primarily, you know, it's all meat or vital organ mix and everything like that. So it's expensive to make, just to make it before you even have to sell it and do all the costs around that. So I wanted to make something available to people so I didn't just scare you, because I didn't want to be the person that told you the story and then you were on board and then you found out the solution was $3 trillion because you have 4 Great Danes. I don't want to be that person. So I wanted to be the person that had options for you. So that's why we created, you know, good, better, best. And so our best way to feed the dog, in my opinion, is our Feed Me. But also we created a freeze-dried dehydrated dog food called Rago, which is about 20% more than kibble. And then for people that just have for whatever reason, are committed to the kibble, you know, budget wise, dog number wise, whatever, we also create, and that's the thing I love the most, is our Boost Me and our Fortify Me, because it's a raw meat topper that you can just add to the kibble. And my whole thing, and I've had feedback where people are like, yeah, but you say kibble's the devil and you're just telling us to put good stuff. Well, first of all, I didn't say it was the devil. I said that it was not biologically appropriate for your dog. And, you know, wrap this piece up is, if you think about it, we had dogs and cats that we've domesticated and brought into the home. We have horses, been domesticated. We have cows, we have sheep and birds and fish. And every animal I just named except 2 get to eat what they would eat if they were left alone in the wild. But the 2 that we brought into our home, literally into the home, the dog and the cat, we said, you know what you guys would naturally eat is super gross to me. So that was my belief system, is that we've done this and we get to feed our dogs more like they were designed to eat in the wild, and we get to be smart about it. So that's why we created these various ways. And when I tell people to add this onto the dog's food, why would that be beneficial, to put freeze-dried raw dog food on top of your dog's regular food or these toppers? Because they have the natural enzymes required for your dog, has a much more acidic stomach than you do, required for him to have the optimum way to digest his food or her food. So that to me is like, look, if you've got kibble and I'm telling you that yes, there are nutrients in there, but most of the natural ones have been cooked out because it was cooked for 6 hours at 280 degrees. I mean, come on, we can all do the math. There's nothing left in that. So, and they try to add them back in, but it's just like you with vitamins. If you try to take vitamin C out of a package or a bottle, I mean, your body can only absorb so much of it. And most of your dog supplements are usually on the front lawn because they're not able to absorb them into their bodies. And then dogs eat poop. And there's a whole controversy around why they eat poop. I'm in the camp that believes they're eating poop because they didn't get everything they needed, and they know that. So, it's on the survival level, Darwinism level. But anyway, the point is that I tell people, like, that is a victim attitude. That is being victim to your circumstances. And I encourage people to be senior to their circumstances. I encourage them to say, look, feed the best kibble you can. I have my opinions about what that is. Earthborn Holistic. I don't get paid any money. I don't even think they know I recommend them, but I think they're one of the better kibbles out there. I think Fromm's is one of the better kibbles out there. Again, there's no affiliations. I don't even know them. It's just what I would feed my dog in a pinch if I had to feed them that. And then if you add this raw dog food on it, you guys, you will see a difference. Like, that's what I love about our line. The proof's in the pudding. So we have a 60-day money back guarantee. I'm like, dude, do this for 30 days and tell me that your dog doesn't have better breath, that isn't shedding less, their pooping isn't pooping less, like, because they're absorbing more. Like, tell me that. And then go to try to feed your dog your plain old kibble after 30 days without my Fortify Me on there. Do it. You let your dog tell you. He's going to look at its food and it's going to look up at you. Yes, he will probably eat the kibble because they're opportunistic kibble carnivores, but he will let you know. Most of them will let you know. My dogs do. They're like, where's that stuff? Just looking at you like, that's not it. That's not it. We're not done. So, I mean, and that's an example. We've created a full line, and I know you want to ask me some more questions, and I'm doing
that's good. So let me go back and real quick, I want to come up with the 3 bullet points that you talked about, the good, better, best. So tell us what the good is, and we'll, because I want to make sure I list those out.
Yes. So how I look at it is good is doing something different. So good is believing me that your kibble, again, it's not kibble shaming. It's just not doing the job that you think it is because you don't have the information. So just for a minute, trust me that it's not quite doing the job. Do your own homework. Go to Dr. Becker. She talks a lot about all the details. But know that it's good just to add, like, literally Boost Me is not, it's like by the time you take a discount or a coupon, you maybe pay $10 for it, and you just do a tablespoon for every cup, you'll make a difference. Fortify Me, it's incredible. Again, part of our good offering. Fortify Me is one step above Boost Me. It's a 1 pound bag. It's got coconut oil in it. In addition to the raw meat, it's got coconut oil in it. It's got blueberries. It has pumpkin to help them with digestive. I mean, it has all types of natural, we call it a mega size. Like, it has a salmon skin. So it's so good. Your dogs love it. When you actually go to grab it, like if you were using your hand to sprinkle it on the dog's food, if you squeeze it, you can see it for yourself. You squeeze it, it kind of forms in your hand for a minute, and then you do this, and then there's nothing in your hand. So that's how much, like, good stuff's in there, and the dogs love it. So that's our good option. Our better option is Rago. Rago is a dehydrated, freeze-dried dog food. How I feel about Rago is it's great. We source it out of New Zealand because there's that's the best meat you can do it. Like, we can't even export meat into other countries out of America. That's a whole nother conversation, but it's like one of the best places to source meat is out of New Zealand. So we have a really good partnership that's helped us create this dehydrated dog food. Again, subjected to very low heat so that you don't lose the nutrients and nutritiousness of it. And then you add water to it. And the way I would describe Rago to people, it's a top seller. We run out all the time. Is that you add a little bit of water. So if someone's used to feeding wet food, it would be more that oatmeal-like consistency when you mix it up and everything like that. If you're used to feeding dry food, it's different for a dog. So it's up to your dog if he likes the texture of it. Technically, you could just feed it dry, but I wouldn't do that. So, I mean, that's an example. So that's our better, like, to me, there's no reason in the world other than if your dog doesn't like it that you wouldn't feed a dehydrated dog food over kibble. It's literally 20% more, right? It's not double, it's not triple, it's 20% more. And I truly believe our dogs are worthy of 20% more of your budget for their food. It's not extra. Now we get to Feed Me. Feed Me is keto. It fits in. So people who believe in putting their dog into ketosis, like if your dog has cancer and you're getting the feedback that putting them in ketosis, yep, right there. Go Vanna. There's our feed me. I think therefore I'm hungry. That's our dog. The proof's in the pudding, guys. If you have a dog, and don't mistake what I'm saying, this food is for every size dog. It's just not built for every size budget. Okay. So when people hear me say, oh, it's only good for, no, it's not only good for small dogs, but I'm telling you, if your dog is 20 pounds or under, the effect of it on your budget is maybe it's going to cost you 20 or 30 more dollars a month if you have one dog. Maybe that's what's going to happen for you. It's not, because your dog doesn't eat that much to begin with. So why not? So if I'm talking to someone who has a Yorkie, like I'll go in hard and be like, you've got to feed me. If you're not feeding, feed me. You have one dog, one Yorkie. This will change everything. Their coat, their teeth, you will see it. If they're an older dog, they will move better. You just will see it for yourself. If it's a bigger dog or you have multiple dogs, I'm more low key, because I'm realistic, and I will talk more about our good option, which is the dehydrated rago, or I will talk about our toppers, which I think are phenomenal. And our people love our toppers. Our Fortify Me, we can't keep it on the shelves, period. I mean, it's a really great product. It's just new. So people are learning and understanding what it is and how to use it.
Got it. So I know you've talked about your products are made in the USA.
Yes.
And they're all natural. Anything you want to add to that is compared to your competitors?
So a couple things our competitors do and they're all good. I don't care if you're in kibble right now. I don't care. Buy from anyone that sells freeze dried. Go. If I'm not your girl, that's okay. We are priced, I think, the most competitively in the market, but as soon as I say that, there'll be someone that lowered their price. But for the most part, we honor other people's prices because we are priced extremely competitive. We make as little money as we have to in order to keep operations going so people can afford to do this, because my mission is to help dogs live longer and better. Better is the key part. So on the feed me, what did you ask me, Greg? You asked me, but then I got excited.
Made in the USA and all natural.
All natural. What I wanted to add to it is feed me that makes us special is we don't really add into feed me. Like we have that as our if you're a raw foodie person, right? Like if you are a raw feeder, this is built for you. It is literally keto friendly. It has protein, carbs, and fat. The carbs come from the linings in the animal's stomach. There are no additives. There are no cranberries. There's no blueberries. Even though I believe in those things can be in your dog's food and help them, this was created for you to choose. For you to choose to go add canned pumpkin, for you to choose to add blueberries, for you to choose. This was designed for someone who believes that is what dogs are built to eat, and that's what we created it for. But what makes it special is that if you look at our competitors, most of them have a lot. If you look at our label, there's like 8 or 9 things in there. And if you look at theirs, there might be 16 or 17. So just consider that, like ask yourself why that is. Like what are they trying to compensate for that they took out of the bag in order to be more profitable? This is my experience. The second piece is that we hand debone all of the meat that comes off. So we get all that good stuff where the meat is like right on the bone, because we're not most of our competitors mechanically debone it. And you can tell because if that bag of TruDog that you had, Greg, if it was open, I'm not telling you to open it, but if it's open, it's like dark and really like almost red looking. Like there's no artificial anything. It's just the way the meat looks and crunchy. And if you look at our competitors who do mechanical deboning, and it's more fluffy and crumbly. Like if you took it in your hand, you could kind of crush it. You can't crush ours. So that would be a big difference. And it's because we do hand debone it, not mechanically debone it. And so we get all the best parts of everything we can get because I'm an animal lover and I'm very well aware that there's an animal that lost its life for my dogs to eat this way. Now, I believe I justify that in my head by knowing if we were out in the wild in the caveman days, dogs would be killing cows and boars and all the things so they could live, okay? But it is about being humane to the animal. And to me, it's about using, if we are going to take an animal's life in this way and trade, if you will, if we're going to do that, then I want to make sure that we're using every part of that animal to the best of our ability so that that animal is really paying it forward, for lack of a better example. And Temple Grayden actually designed our harvest facility so that it would be the most kind way in human, to take care of the animal.
So we're not a dog household, we're a cat household.
Yes.
Same here.
Do you have anything for cats?
Well, I have 2 cats. And yes, we have True Cat treats right now. We are looking to launch a True Cat food. I have 2 picky cat eaters, so we get to pass the picky cat eaters to make that happen. The issue that comes around cat food, and Dogs Naturally magazine actually has an article on it. I don't have the link. I'm friends with the founder. And cats, if they have not grown up eating raw food, are very, very hard to get them to do it. And there is a conspiracy theory out there. I'm just kidding. But there is a theory out there, and she actually, Dana could tell you about it, where because cats are such picky eaters, and like, hear what we're saying. Are they picky eaters, or are we asking them to eat something they really don't want to eat? Because they're cats. Like, they know. They're like, that is not what we're supposed to eat. We want to kill mice. We want to do the things. And you guys are trying to shove this at me, and it's not interesting. It doesn't move. I didn't get to hunt it, all the things. And so they're kind of, the cat's all about the hunt. So that's why I don't know if you've seen that no bowl feeding lady. She's awesome. That's created that thing with cats where it's a way to hide these little pods all over your house, and you put the cat's food in it and you train them, and the cats then go find it and they hunt all day, and then they get to eat how they want to eat. So it's super cool. And so cats are a whole nother thing. And we've stayed kind of close away from it just because of finding one that's a palatability that most cats will eat and not have a high refund rate, where people are like, oh, my cat didn't like it. So what's in the gap is that with cat foods, there's an additive that they put in there so that they will actually eat the fake food, if you will. And in raw food, that's not there. There's a chemical. And I'll find the article and send it to Greg so he can send it to you, because I don't have it at the top of my mind. But she was telling me about it, and it was fascinating because, but cats are super picky, where dogs aren't that picky. Yeah. Even the pickiest dog looks very generous compared to a picky cat.
Sure.
One of our cats is not picky at all. Like, he'll eat literally anything. He loves having a baby in the house because he'll pick up, all the scraps off the floor. But our Siamese cat, she's super duper picky, and like, we give them, we finally found a wet food that she likes, and she'll only eat it like 2 days a week. Like, she has to be in the right environment, and like, she's a princess. It's fine. But cats are very, very finicky creatures. I love them.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead,
Is
Krista.
a harvest facility a kind word for a slaughterhouse?
No, because it could be, but it's not in their case. So a harvest facility, but yeah, I mean, a slaughterhouse is where they kill animals, right? So our harvest facility is where the cows, leave this planet, and become food for the dog. But yes, it's a harvest facility, but it is, like I said, she's a huge animal activist, and it was designed completely so that the animal, it can be as painless as possible. And, like, we source all the animals from Wisconsin farms, usually like small farmers. They're like really, like, it's all connected, and they've been doing it for 30 years. And, the animals are raised well and taken care of well. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, that's the only part I just don't like, is that I have to kill another animal to feed another animal. It's my least favorite thing.
What about, where do you get the fish?
The what?
The fish for the salmon skins?
Yeah, so those fish that are sourced from, they're not sourced from farms, or they're from, oh my gosh, I wish Anthony was on the phone with me later. But they're, oh my God, I can't even say it. I'll get the name. I'm going to text Anthony right now. Sorry. He actually formulated all of that with the fish. He actually migrated in that. My passion is the beef and the food, and then he added onto it. But they are sourced from lakes or rivers, and I just don't know the area. So let me ask him real quickly. Where is our fish? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I have some.
Oh, good. Maybe it'll say on there. So sorry that I should know that.
No, that's fine. It's
you got me.
I don't see any locations. But when I got this package, by the way, and Krista and I have an interesting story. The salmon shoes is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
But Krista, tell us about why you think this is so awesome.
Yeah, so a little bit is, my dog is Winter, and she is cat picky. I mean, she will not eat for days if it's not the right food, the right thing. I literally have taken her to the nicest pet stores and let her pick out whatever treat that she might remotely look at. In fact, last week I took her and she spent $12 on a bone. It was this big. She gets outside. I'm like, great, here it is. She sniffed it and walked away. However, when we got our package from TruDog, She dug out the package of salmon skins, ripped open everything to get to it, and this is the only treat that she will eat. I don't care how stinky or weird it is. My precious angel loves these, and it is the only treat that she has not hidden under my pillow, in my blanket, in my clothes.
I love it.
Yeah.
To let you know, was not a keeper. Yeah, he was saying that hold on a second. Anthony's calling me. Hey, Anthony, I'm on the Zoom call with our friend Greg. So are you calling me about the fish? I know it's Alaska.
I didn't quite understand what you were asking.
Where do we source our fish, our salmon from?
Salmon is from Alaska.
Alaska. So it's sourced from Alaska. But is there anything, I thought there was a form of whether it's from a lake, a river. I mean, I thought there was something more specific, but.
Well, we get a lot of different fish. So like the minnows come out of the Great Lakes. The salmon's coming out of, it's wild caught out of Alaska.
Wild caught out of Alaska is a salmon. The minnows are what I find really gross. And those come out of the Great Lakes. I think they're disgusting. Anything else? Because you're my formulator on all the fish stuff, all the extra.
No, that's pretty much it.
Cool. All right. Well, I had to phone a friend, but it worked.
That's fine. It worked.
There you go.
Then this is cool because Greg will let me phone you again. I hope she doesn't ask me anything else I don't know. You know how I not like not knowing. Okay, I'll call you back.
You're fine.
Okay. The fish was really an expansion by Anthony on that. So yeah.
Well,
anyway.
When I talked to Lori or Krista about it, she said, she's in the Pacific Northwest and it's a thing. There was some type of festival where everybody in the community took their dogs to go get salmon skins. I grew up in the South. We don't have salmon skins. We don't give salmon skins to our dogs. So I didn't know that this was a thing until I opened the box from Michelle at TruDog.
Till we horrified you. You're like,
Yeah.
What is this? This is disgusting. That's the whole thing though. See, you leave my point. What they do love, it is disgusting to us. It's gross. Like think about when cats are notorious for killing something and want to bring it to you. Like they're just like, hey, and you're like, oh my God, I do not need to see the mouse. But they're proud of it. It's a part of them. And that's what they like to eat. And it's just really interesting to me that, I have horses. And let's say we ran out of grain, which would never happen. I would never throw a cheeseburger in there and expect that to work out. He's not going to eat it. He'd starve to death. Like he wouldn't eat it. But dogs will eat whatever you give them. And so my whole thing is like, just do a little bit better by your dog. Like you don't have to do this. It's almost like people are like, oh, I can't feed me. Screw it. It's almost like if you're on a diet and you've been killing it for 30 days and one day you eat ice cream. Now, what do you just become an ice cream eater and gain back all the 10 pounds, or do you just move on? So I'm always telling people, it's like, look, and we even trademarked the term, it's better. We just got that trademark. It's like, just do better. Like whatever you're doing right now from your dog, take the information in, take it in and ask yourself, can I do better by him? I know I've got a budget. We all have things. We all have limitations. We all have different things. That's why we developed Protect Me, which is a gravy you can pop. We have so many different ways for you to support your dog more than just giving them kibble. That's what I'm saying. It's just not getting the job done. I have no problem. I'll debate anyone on it. It does not get the job done.
All right, so we're going to talk about the affiliate program for a couple minutes just so we can get it in there. This is all education for the affiliates. Krista, we're going to get to you if you have any questions in a minute. We've been managing the program on ShareASale since October 2015. We are paying a default commission of 10%. We have a 90-day cookie. The average order in July was $58. And this summer, we've seen a huge increase in affiliates that are actively promoting the program. So, and Krista is one of them. So she's our case study, our success story. Krista joined our community in the springtime, and one thing that she's told me before was that she was about ready to give up on affiliate marketing. And she has a website that has nothing to do with dogs or dog food. But she listened to us. She took a gamble and she tested some of the TruDog products. Her dog loves the products. And so she told her community. And she had a couple sales immediately. And then we did another promotion and she had more sales. And we were both kind of shocked at how great it was working and how fast it was working. So Krista is now one of your best content affiliates, and she loves to join us for these calls. So I'm happy that she is here to actually meet you and ask you questions.
I am too. Thank you, Krista. That's all it's going to take. A village, baby. Takes a village. Like we're going up against, like, people in marketing always create that evil people, but we're going up against an industry is $100 billion now. 5 companies, big manufacturers, pretty much make about 3,000 products. So people think that they have all these options, but they're really coming from 5 people. And so I loved one of the things I got back from a lady. It was my favorite. We've had so many great testimonials, but she said to me, I actually sent her a cookbook. She's like, I watched your video. I totally believe you. I have 4 labs. 2 of them I rescued. I have a second job just to feed the 2 because that's how it's important to me. I totally believe what you're saying. She was in tears. She's like, and I can't afford to do anything about it. I said, that's not true. And I bought her a cookbook and sent it to her because she's the kind of person that would make the food. And it literally, if you make the food yourself, it is like, you have to be careful, safety precautions. And so I don't totally recommend it. But in her situation, she was so committed. I was like, you can do it yourself and it'll be cheaper than kibble or about the same as kibble if you do it yourself and you're really crafty. And I gave her this really great book on it. But what she told me, thank you for sending her the book. And then she said, I just want you to know that even though I can't afford your choice, your line right now, I'm so grateful for what you're doing because of you, me, and it almost makes me tear up. She's like, maybe, because that's my mission. She's like, maybe you could make the big guys do better, And I was like, oh yeah. Cause it's like, make them do better. Cause they're like, dang it, this TruDog, they're so annoying with their videos and the things. We're going to have to create more grain-free stuff and more options. So while they will never be able to do just what we're doing because it's not $1 billion industry and there's not enough people that can afford it. And there's also not enough cows and everything to support it. They can do better. These kibble companies may not ever build something that I think is amazing, but they can do better than what they're doing. They can do better. I promise you. They might make a little less money, but they can do better. So maybe if we put it out there, then they will be, because they're like, don't want to lose market share. And that really made me feel good. And I thought, I can't save every person, but like maybe that just being the voice out there will get it done. I'm super passionate about, and I used to feel embarrassed. Like I was like, am I that crazy dog person? It's all like, oh, about your food. And there's sex trafficking and there's starving people and there's, in Africa and here and just in Cincinnati alone. But it's like, I've spent my whole life really supporting the veteran community and raising money for them, obviously. But like, they just took me about a year. And finally I just like, I'm good. Like, if I'm the steward for the domesticated dog, the dog that looks like it's safe, that looks like it's protected, that looks like it's being taken care of, that's dying of cancer before it should, that's having teeth extracted when it's like no teeth left practically, when like all the things are going, and they work so hard to keep us happy. They work so hard to take care of us. They work so hard. Ask a kid with diabetes, ask a kid with Asperger's, ask a veteran, all the things a dog can do to calm them down that we're just now learning. And if I'm the person that protects them and I look crazy because I'm not focused on something that's like more human important to someone else, I'm good, because the dogs are worthy of someone just saying to pet parents, because all pet parents love their dogs, all of them. They just need to know. And so I'm going to be the person to talk about it. And I don't want to make anyone wrong. The only thing you could be wrong about is not learning as much as you could to help as much as you could do for your dog if you care about them the way you say you do. That's all.
I like that. Krista, what do you got?
Okay, I have a list. I do.
Good.
My first question is, you did mention that there were kibbles out there that you do like.
Yes.
Why do you like them and what are your favorites?
So why do I like them for people who have no other options, because I hate people who I think that I don't want to just tell you if you can't do the very best thing, then you have no options. I think that's making people wrong. I think that's making people feel bad. And I don't think that I want to be that person. So I just like to say, look, I would invite you to try Earthborn Holistic. I think they do a really good job. I think Fromms, Frommes, I think they do a great job. I mean, for what it is, I think they do the best they can for what it is. And I also like, Well Pet has a product, True Food out there, that I think they really did the best they could with what they have to work with, because it is a product that, not to digress, but just to explain for someone listening or someone actually taking the time, I just want you to understand the way dog food is made, the way they take the entire chicken, the beaks, and then not a good chicken, like the chicken that humans can't eat. And they put it in a vat and they stir it and stir it and stir it and stir it at high heats until it turns into a gray sludge. And seriously, it's a gray sludge and it's disgusting. And no dog would ever walk up and eat it at all. It looks like cement. And then they put it on a table. I'm oversimplifying it. And they dry it out and it's just sand. no dog would come up and eat it. They don't eat it until we spray the fats and do the artificial coloring so we like it. And they do all the things to try to convince the dog and trick the dog into eating it. So that's one of the things. It's like just thinking about that whole process. Like I think we all can understand that that's just, you're better off to cook your dog's food for himself than to feed him that, in my opinion. But then again, I don't want to say that because people will do that and then your dog's not getting nutrients and minerals. So don't do that. But I'm saying in my opinion, you're better off what you're doing with the kibble. So those are the three that I really like that I recommend. I mean, I'm not saying there's not other ones that are out there that are good. I can tell you I met with Clay Mathiel, who was the founder of IAMS and sold it to Procter & Gamble for $2 billion. And I was asking for his business advice on how to go to market when I first started. I was just giving him what I was doing, this direct-to-consumer thing. And he loved it. And he said that, not to speak, but just to oversimplify, but basically we're talking about food itself and kibble. And he said, yeah, he's like, we made the best kibble at the time science diet that was out there. He's like, but there were so many things we didn't know. Like we just didn't know. And if he could go back and do it again, he would create an even higher end kibble that was like $90 for a big 40-pound bag, you know, like that's what he would do. And because he agrees, like there's a lot missing in kibble and there's more that we could do with the kibble. You could still have kibble and it could be better.
Here in the Seattle area, salmon is everything. Salmon is king. Salmon days. You feed salmon. Okay. Yeah. You feed salmon to your babies, to your kids, to your cats, to everything. Everything eats salmon. So that being said, we also are having a problem recently with our resident orca whales, which are everybody's favorite. We all love our pods. Here in the Pacific Northwest, the problem is the overfishing of salmon is causing starvation of the whales. So there's a big push to only have farm-raised salmon versus wild-caught, to leave the wild-caught for the orcas. So the question is, it was back to farm-raised versus wild-caught for the salmon skins that you guys sell, and the question was going to be, which would be something that you sell, or do you think that wild caught is better?
You know, that's my manufacturer that I partnered with. He's actually a fisherman, so I wish I was using him because he knows all the things that we're talking about, and I know a little bit of the things we're talking about from about fishing and the sourcing. You know, he's always believed in the wild caught because of some of the shenanigans that go on with the farm raised, and again, not to speak for him, but he's like, you know, with the cows and things like that, that's an easier thing to go in and moderate. And with the farm raised, it just gets a little iffy, and it's an easier way for people to kind of beat the system, if you will. So we've always focused on wild caught, but then now I know whales aren't eating. See, I freak out. Like, I love all animals. I'm like, oh my God, why can't our animals just be vegan? But they're really not. But so yeah, so I mean, but it's such a great question. I'd actually like to know that answer more in depth. So I'm gonna research even more. But that was at a high level what he told me, and he sold me on wild caught being a good thing. Like he was like, you know, it's the freshest, it's the best. You know, you don't have to. But to your point, like that's where the rub comes, right? Because we have all these dogs that they need to eat the right way, but then it affects the environment. Like there's a whole bunch of people talking about how our pets are causing a big problem in our environment because now we're having to have the cows and the cows are bringing the things, you know, and I mean, and it's one of those things is like, just can't make all the, you know, there's no good answer. I wish I was smarter.
But let me jump in as a human, and I'm a seafood snob because I grew up on the Gulf Coast. I won't eat farm-raised fish. I will only eat wild caught.
Okay, so tell us why, Greg, because obviously, you know, I mean, you probably are more in tune with the difference for someone. I
don't know. I just think there's a different taste, but I also don't like the fact that all of my trout were swimming around in a dirty pond in a farm as opposed to out open in the open water or rivers or wherever. So I'm not a fan of farm raised. I understand the environmental concerns maybe in the Pacific Northwest, but I personally would not eat farm raised fish.
Yeah,
but so, I'm a snob, so that's
okay. Well, and so is Landy because he's a big fisherman. Like this is his thing, you know. But I mean, he also likes things that are fair. So I mean, he fair meaning, you know, he's fishing and you know he uses like all natural, not any of the artificial things, and he just kind of likes that aspect of it. But
so I love what you said about using 100% of what you are going to use, and not being wasteful. And we're never going to become a vegetarian society. It's just never going to happen. And honestly, I am a vegetarian, but it is not 100% healthful for everyone.
Yeah.
And so what I really love about your products is the idea that we are being conscious about where things are coming from. And it sounds that you're a passionate animal lover like myself. So having that passion go into the food, it shows. And for myself, like, I have a service dog. My dog Winter is my everything, my world, I'm like, oh God, I can go on forever how much I love this dog. But she's getting older. And as she's getting older, I'm finding that I'm like, okay, well, how can I keep her hips moving better? So she loves the little chewy things, the mobility. Oh my gosh, my dog is now a puppy.
I tell people, like, if people say, I mean, I started when you're saying this, I'm like, oh, I don't care. I say, if I could sit in front of all of our affiliates and that really cared like you care, that they're passionate about the product. I mean, the money's great, but it's like, you know, you get to do good and get good and all the goods. It's a win-win for everybody. That's great. But if people are like, I can only get one product and I can't afford the food, like, listen to me. And I just, but I know my dog's getting older. I would be a complete me. I was like, complete meat. You've got to get complete meat. Free meat, though, free meats are wonderful. Free meat is wonderful. What I like about complete meat, it's got the omega-7 in there. Mm-hmm. And we don't put this on our packaging because it's so small in our packaging. We're getting ready to come up with a big campaign around it. But just so you know, that's Provenol that was literally created with Harvard and the Cleveland Clinic. And it's an omega-7 that allows you as a human being, we could make claims as a human being on what it does for your heart, and the FDA will let us. What it does for your heart, what it does to support the fat burning, things like that. And we have that supported. Now, it's not supported for dogs to say those things, right? That's for humans. So we don't want to confuse people, but just telling you guys here, Complete Me, my Great Dane was like 8 years old when I think developed it, close to 9. And I gave it to him because he's kind of at the end of his life, and we've done the most we can for him. But I thought, let's try it. Because I already feed him to feed me. So I'm like, oh my God, if you can do feed me, I mean, if you're a person who has a little dog and you just don't have anything better to do than spend a bunch of money on your dog, this Complete Me is unbelievable. It's a chew. Within 30 days, I always tell people, look, I don't know what your dog looked like as a puppy at all, but I know what mine looked like. And when I I liked the product. Anthony enrolled me on the product and he wanted to create it, even though it was going to be expensive, because Provenol is super, super expensive. When you use these human supplements, they're expensive because they're really good. And we're like tested on humans, proven safe for pets. That's what we say. So we want that high level, but getting the consumer to understand what they're really getting is like, this is the best thing you could ever give your dog. I'm telling you, Complete Me Chew. Their coat looks better. He's an old dog. His coat was richer. He was moving better. He jumped up in the morning. I know you can appreciate what I'm talking about, like a puppy. He jumped up and I was like, whoa, like wanting to, easy boy. Like, cause I know he really can't do it because he limps. He has an ACL thing. So I was like, but he feels better. You know, he feels better inside, not just his legs and stuff. So I know it was a long commercial for Complete Me, but I love that product.
No, that's right.
I really love it.
Go ahead, Krista. Let's wrap it up on yours.
Last question, and it was about Boost Me and Fortify Me. Again, my dog is obsessed with being the pickiest dog on the planet. So we did try some of the other foods, and it just wasn't for her. She didn't like the texture. She didn't like the smell. I don't know what it was until I put Fortify Me on it, and then she ate it.
No, you didn't think Fortify Me's magic.
It is dog magic. I can't even tell you it is dog magic. And so I'm wondering.
You've called it doggy crack before. I've heard you say that.
I was being kind. It's magic now.
It's our miracle sprinkle. No, seriously, we wanted to call it doggy crack, but people got mad. I was like, okay, we're just kidding. It's not really doggy crack. But it is. They love it. They'll eat anything with it.
He will go get the bag down and hand it to me. And I didn't put this magic sprinkles on there. She'll go get the bag down. And yeah. And
you believe me? I tell you, people don't believe me. I'm like, feed your dog Fortify Me for 30 days and then try not to feed it to him. Just tell me if there was any reaction at all. If your dog had any opinion about it.
We ran out and she didn't eat for 2 days. It was awful. So my question is, will you come out with a bigger bag of the Boost Me or Fortify Me?
So our Fortify Me is at £1, but it has to do with our equipment. So Boost Me, the way Boost Me is produced, we can't do a bigger bag yet, or we're working on it, but we can't do a bigger bag yet. Believe me, we would, because people want the bigger bag. They don't care. They're like, I just don't want to keep opening bags, because a lot of our customers are environmentally conscious. And so no one likes ripping open all the bags when they can just have a big bag. They're like, you're not fooling us. We know how much we're paying for this. Just let me one bag. But that's why. The second thing on Fortify Me is we are looking to make that a bigger bag. I think they're looking to make a 2-pound bag. And they're working that out with the manufacturer, with the bags and just the lines and the way they come down to keep the efficiencies there. So that's definitely happening. People ask us about making a bigger bag on our food. We can make a bigger bag on our food. We can make a 2-pound bag, and we're looking at it. But the reality is that the more SKUs I have to stock, the more expensive everything becomes for everyone. So we try to keep it simple. But the last piece of it is, people do have Chihuahuas. And if I made like if anyone could even afford to buy it at one time, a 20-pound bag of Feed Me, it's like a bag of chips. Like, there's a reason why they don't make a 20-pound bag of chips, because it's not going to make the dog sick. I don't know where you lost me, but like it's not going to make your dog sick because they ate some stale Boost Me. It's not. But you paid a lot of money for it. So why would you want to feed your dog something that wasn't super fresh? And the other thing I love about our product is, even though it's created with the tocopherols that are in there and the bag and the way we do it, that it could last for 18 months as opposed to 5 years with all the artificial preservative things. That's the other thing about kibble. I was like, does anyone not wonder why you can leave a bag of kibble out in a hot garage forever and it never goes bad? I mean, what do you think's in that? Make that happen. There's nothing else that could sit out in the garage for a year and you could still feed your dog. People do it. And that's the thing that I'm concerned about. Like, I just want to keep it at a level where I know you're consuming it in a place that's really works for the dog. And that's why we're kind of control freaks about that. Because I don't want someone having a Chihuahua with a 20-pound bag of dog food and letting it be open for 4 or 5 months. I don't want that to happen. Right. But the good thing about our food is that everything you get, because of the way we produce it, because we don't buy big quantities at once, it's like pretty much you're guaranteed that the food's maybe 3 weeks old by the time you get our consumers. And we tell people that. It's like, and you can't get that from a grocery store or anything like that. Like, you're literally within probably 3 weeks of that being bagged, and we run out. Like, we are always replacing our inventory. We turn our inventory 16, 19 times a year.
I've waited 3 years to tell you my testimonial about Calm Me. So we have 3 dogs in the house. I lost my Belle a few months ago. She was 16. But for the last 3 years, we gave her Calm Me. Every time there was a thunderstorm, or anytime there was something that was going on that she was bothered about. And I mean, we had the dog for 16 years. She was always afraid of thunderstorms and fireworks. And the Calm Me works on all the dogs, especially on 4th of July. And it was like magic, like you've discussed some of the other things. That was the first thing that we've ever seen that actually calmed down my dog, where she just went and took a nap. And it didn't knock her out, but she was just so relaxed. And I've sworn by this stuff with all the dogs for 3 years.
I love that. And, it happened for me, Calm Me. We created that. And, I didn't like that product. And I didn't like the product. Anthony wanted to create it. And I was like, I don't want to create it, because I know people that are going to be like, it doesn't work. Because, some dogs just have a problem it's like people. You can give them Xanax, they're still crazy. So it's like the dogs, and so they're going to take it, and then all of a sudden my brand's not going to be real because Calm Me doesn't work, and it's really subjective, and did you all the things. It works. It doesn't work like you say. It's like it's not Xanax, like I'm joking around, but it's not like something like people do give their dogs serious human drugs sometimes, the ones that get rescued that have a lot of issues. It's not that, but what it does, like my dog, my Great Dane, we took him, he was like 7 to our trade show, and he was a little nervous in there, like, cause he's older, and it made me feel bad. He had diarrhea, and I was like, oh no, cause he's normally chill. I just gave him a huge handful of Calm Me, as I thought, well, okay, let's see.
Well,
exactly what you described. He just laid down in a corner. He's like, thank you.
That's a good question, because I usually gave Belle or Rue, we give them 2. So is it because you had a Great Dane? We were always worried to overdose on the Calm Me. So what's the prescription here?
Well, there's no prescription, because it's on the back on how to feed him and the size. But for me, I give him like 6 or 7. There's nothing in it. Like, I hate to say, I'm always like, follow the instructions, but like, there's nothing. It's not. There's just supplements in there, so it's like, can you take too much vitamin C? I guess. I mean, if you did it every day for 2 months, your body might have a problem with it. But with Calm Me, it's whatever works. That's what I tell people is like, keep, I mean, don't give them a whole jar, but like with TJ, 6 worked. I mean, 6 was just like, and it's what you said. It just took the edge off. And I see, the thing is I'd never tried it because my dogs aren't nervous dogs at home. So there's nothing like that. But when I took him out of his environment, all of a sudden I kind of had a nervous 170-pound dog that was nervous and people kept coming in. I wanted to be comfortable. So we did it. It worked. It worked. I was like, okay, I'm selling a good product. I mean, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's like, it's got supplements and so many subjective things for calming a dog down. And for just a normal thing like you're talking about, just taking the edge off, it's perfect.
Well, we love Calm Me, and I'm gonna start using some of the Fortify Me. So we'll
I can't say enough about it.
Give that to our dogs. Let's wrap this up. Lori, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your patience with my technical difficulties. They are on my end, not Greg's. They are on my office end. Our internet's a little lame.
It happens. No big deal.
It happens to Greg too. So
For everyone watching, I know Greg's a perfectionist. This was not Greg's fault.
No, well, but that's also the power of editing, so they won't see all the gaps. It's okay.
Okay, good. Thank you, Greg.
All right.
Where I'm like, I don't know where our salmon comes from. I was like, I wanted to say Alaska, but that was like, I hate to give the wrong answer because people need to know the right answer. So I was like, I got to check.
No, you're
I'm okay
fine.
saying I don't know.
All right. Krista, thank you for joining us. You asked great questions. We appreciate you joining us as an affiliate. And that will do it for this episode of Apogee Live.
Thank you. Thank you.